Meeting of the New Paltz City Council will come to order. Welcome administration, the rest of council, and since we don't have any audience, I guess we'll excuse them. Anyhow, if you will, the rest.
All right. Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove,
Present.
Councilman Bond,
Here.
Councilman Shammy, Councilwoman Wright,
Here.
Councilman Lindsay,
Here.
and Vice Mayor Eggleston. Here. All seven present.
Invocation for the Chief Trustee.
Father, Lord, we thank you for the day and all thy many blessings. We thank you for the chance to be again in your meetings. Please let thy perfect will be done. Bless our first responders, our troops, and their families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, we need action on the minutes for 12/2.
So moved.
Councilwoman Wright,
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove,
Yes.
Councilman Bond,
Yes.
Councilman Shammy.
Yes.
Accepted 7-0.
And a motion for the 12/16
So moved.
regular meeting.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright,
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grove,
Yes.
Councilman Bond,
Yes.
Councilman Shammy.
Communications.
None tonight, Mayor.
Does anybody have anything? If not, we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council, chief and police chief, and members of our audience on the camera. We'll start off with our informational items for our discussion topics. We do have our work session on Monday, January 13, to discuss the comprehensive land use plan and the citizen award, firefighter award, things like that, to find out what direction we want to go with those. Moving on with the cemetery, I did get some columbarium updates. As far as benches are concerned, they do come a couple, like a full polished bench. These are benches, these are granite that would, be a perfect match to the columbarium. The benches are 42 inches long, about 14 inches wide with straight legs. They run, let's just round it up to $4,000 a piece. And then with the lower grade, same granite, so just don't price as decorative, the benches would be $3,350 each. So those are the prices on the benches, and the timeline for the columbarium is anywhere between 8 and 9 months. So I do have the plan that we're getting ready to go through. It's the whole plan on the decorative part, what's going to be polished, what's not going to be polished, the whole submittal. Once we get the submittal back and I get a good number, then I will get an ordinance drafted in front of council for the manager to proceed with the purchase. Any questions on the columbarium information?
On the benches, are they going to be smooth on the four sides?
They're going to be smooth,
The
at least
edges?
on the top and the front. The rest of it might have that,
Okay, so
that chiseled.
one side looking towards the barium is going to be smooth?
It'd be smooth where your legs kind of could
Right.
touch it. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
think they're just gonna be natural colors, right? Correct.
That grayish color, oh, that's right, you weren't here at the meeting. I can get you a packet, or it might be in the packet that was emailed before. I'll double check, but anyway, it shows the granite. It's the standard gray that you would see mausoleums and things.
Sweet, thank you.
Any further?
Moving on, resolution was submitted by the clerk of council to the Board of Elections. I did speak with the director shortly thereafter, and he said they would be reviewing that here in January, February, to make sure everything was good to go. I said, well, a couple of us are doing this, so we just wanted to make sure everything was good, and we didn't want to have to come back with any kind of unforeseen emergency ordinances or anything like that. So he's supposed to let us know soon. And I had emailed out for the city manager's hiring brochure. Does anyone have any feedback from the first draft before I go ahead and get this put out to the various
When did you email that?
I didn't
I
get
never
that.
got that.
I had sent it out to the mayor to start. I looked at all the previous hirings, and it went out to the mayor for distribution.
I don't have a problem with it, did you?
I didn't get it.
We haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it.
You were supposed to forward it to us.
I was.
That's what Howie said.
I just sent it out to the mayor and the vice mayor like it was done last time, so whatever after
I
that.
assumed it got mailed to everybody.
Yeah, I just emailed it. Yeah, you guys are the only ones on the top of
All
that
right, go
email.
ahead and re-email that if you would.
I will send it either tonight or first thing in the morning, and then maybe by sometime Monday, just let me know if you got anything on it.
We can do that.
Yeah, it's got some pictures of the area, a brief description, the wage, and then I think at the bottom it states that the hiring process will be by city council along with the HR department, because the HR will do the background check, things like that. So I will get that out first thing in the morning.
When did you say you wanted to hear from us about?
If there's something like Monday or Tuesday, you can directly email me back. Just don't, obviously respond to the email I send out, but you can just send back separately something to me if there's something you don't like or something like that.
And you're gonna send it to all of us.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
Sending it now.
What's that?
I'm sending it now.
Okay, so then I won't have to worry about it?
Yep.
Okay. Council donuts, I know that was brought up to think about that. We come up with maybe a plan, and when we go to discuss, when I get a meeting scheduled with the new Sheriff Chris Clark, that the council on donuts, because we had the levy coming up for May, we could do whether maybe it's not donuts, maybe it's something else, where we have a meet and greet, maybe at 101 with deputies, the sheriff, you guys, prior to the levy, come see maybe what the office, where they work out of, maybe have a few cars, just things like that. But it would be a council, police, maybe sheriff, all in one meet and greet. Thoughts on that?
We're thinking somewhere in the evening?
Probably whatever the sheriff can fit in. I would say probably, if it's a Saturday, it might be a mid-morning. There's not a whole lot, if there's donuts, there's not a whole lot of donuts right in the area, so we'd have to go outside, I think, of town to get something.
Centerville? Bill's Donuts?
What's that?
Bill's Donuts?
Yeah. So if you guys don't want to do donuts, you want to go with pastries instead, or, just something a little bit different, just give it some thought, and we can get a date scheduled for maybe a Saturday, 3 weeks out, and I'll see what the sheriff's schedule is like.
Any comment?
I like pastries.
Yeah, pastries are good. I mean, pastries, donuts, it's all donuts to me. It all comes from Bill's
Leave it
Donuts.
to your discretion.
Hot wings.
No,
That'll work.
Yeah.
All right.
Steak and eggs?
I'll work on that schedule and get that back. A couple items that were not on the list. Spring newsletter, we already started working on that. I swear this thing it just is an ongoing thing. But we're working on a spring newsletter that will probably hit mailboxes April 1. So it'll be for April, May, June. We will probably get something done by March 1. So that way we can get it to the printer and things like that. So we want to have probably the event date in there for the police, obviously the levy information, the meet and greet. So we're going to try and get that scheduled ahead of time. With the newsletter also, fireworks. Think about the date, what date we want to do fireworks. The 4th is on a Friday this year. So I don't know when Mr. Evans does his. I know some other rainouts. Some people are doing theirs on Thursday, the 3rd, and then the 4th on Friday, and then the 5th is their rainout date. I know the last couple of years, New Carlisle has done theirs on the Saturday prior to the 4th. If that is still the desire, I can go back and meet.
I think if we can get it on the 4th or the 5th, I think if we contact them early enough, in January may be too late. But I think if we can get in touch with them and get it on their schedule, I think actually doing it on the 4th and the rain date of the 5th would be awesome.
Let me make a call to Mike. Elsner and see what he's got available and what he'd recommend
Mhm.
at that point. And I'll give you a call back probably either late tomorrow or Friday.
Okay, let me know.
Go ahead, Mr. Bond.
I think the other reason we always did it before is we got a better bang for our buck.
Yes.
We
That
could,
was
we could get a
the-
longer
We got a little
show for
longer
the
show.
same money because they were, everybody wants them on the 4th, so if you can get a different date, they'll give you a better deal, so. I think that was the thinking before.
Also, in regard to that, I had a communique from a young lady that wanted to do an ice cream social. I thought that would be an excellent time for her to do her ice cream social, and the possibility of Councilwoman Grove's Art in the Park on the same day. I mean, that would give a more rounded approach to, other than just fireworks.
No, absolutely. I think last year we did the movie in the park down at the baseball field, and they put the movie Sandlot on. So that was another thing I was going to bring up for the fireworks date. One was cost, one was, like, I love it on the 4th, but I know we got Evans tip, everybody, we could get it in early, but I'm trying to think of when Mr. Evans does his, and we would be battling on the same day. So it's just thoughts.
I'll find that out from Mike when I call him. That was the other thing that we had done in the past. We had approached Evans about the fact of having a joint venture, and that was kind of still up in the air. I don't know whether you still want to proceed or pursue that.
I will have to, I'll have to do a little looking into it. I heard about it. I don't have much information. I do know from the city standpoint, I'm going to have to approach D.R. Horton with a possibility of launching behind their property, because there is no longer, if someone comes in and buys a home on that cul-de-sac back there on Lightfoot, they'll be within the range of the fireworks show of where it's been.
That was the other question I was going to bring up to you. I don't know how he's going to proceed with their show houses, but if they would be definitely within the range.
I can look at some logistics that, if it were to become a, dual thing, that there's the fireworks, there's no side, what do I want to say? If wherever it's at, that it's pretty much for people to watch. Everybody comes and goes as they please. It's hopefully people who can attend it can do various things that council, and let's say if this was a joint venture, Evans Farm has things to do, the city has things to do. It's all come in here, let's call it free of charge. Come enjoy these things. And I don't know, sometimes when you're dealing with some private stuff, I don't know what happened in the last situation.
Basically, in that conversation that we had with Mr. Evans, they charge for the admission or the parking out there. With using tax funds, I think we had talked about the fact if a person has the driver's license with a Nuclear address, they would be admitted free of charge. And that was our way of getting around spending taxpayer dollars for something that they'd have to pay for. Now, the other thing was we had talked about the city basically providing the fireworks. Them doing their little thing, providing any vendors as far as food vendors, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that if you're going to get with Horton, maybe before we go too far, we better find out whether or not we can still shoot them from there. If we can't, then I think that's going to throw us out to Evans.
I have a meeting with the chief and the water contractor tomorrow, so I'll talk with chief tomorrow and get a little bit of heads up on some things to work out.
All right.
The next thing would be community cleanup and a community garage sale. So we're looking to do the community garage sale, get it scheduled, and I believe most talked last year, we want to do the community cleanup after the community garage sale. I had already had the community cleanup scheduled prior to the garage sale, so we're going to try to make sure that those go one before the other. We're going to get those in the newsletter, but is there anything other than just us setting up a date similar to what it was before? Any special requests for while we're trying to set this stuff up?
I don't know of any, does anybody?
We
Okay.
do that in, what is it, June or July, we do the community yard sale?
The garage sale was, I think, the weekend after weekend after Memorial Day weekend or 2 weekends after. And typically that was where my community cleanup is. The one thing we don't want to do on community cleanup and garage sale is mix in with the majority of the graduation parties that happen so I think graduation is the first week of June. I haven't followed up on that date. April and I are going to have a meeting a little bit tomorrow about when graduation is and when we want to set the garage sale and the cleanup. So I just wanted to get some, if there's anything special, we're just going to set after, but not interfere with any of the other.
Did we have the community cleanup the same date as we did the fireworks last year?
I believe so.
I know we did.
Yeah, I think we did.
So maybe it was after already. Those two go hand in, one's early in the morning, the other one's late at night, so they don't conflict with each
Right.
other. So as long as I have the community garage sale, maybe the week before. All right, we'll work on that.
Any other comment?
And, let's see. The last thing I have is this one, because I've been doing more of this job right now, I finally got my bid specs and everything for the old high service pump building project. We are putting that advertising for those next Wednesday, the 22nd of January. And then bid opening for this project for the old high service pump building down at the water treatment plant is going to be February 5th at the fire station, which I'll get with you because I just found this out today. But I know some Councilwoman Wright had mentioned it, can anybody come to, bid openings? So February 5th, 10:30 is when the bid opening will be for this project. So with that being said, I contacted OPWC and we're trying to move this project along and talking about the awarding of the contractor on the low and best bid would possibly come in front of you guys with an emergency ordinance. Is there any issue I do that for the February 17th meeting? And unless we have a work session, February 10th, I might do it at that meeting just to keep this ball rolling.
Sounds good to me.
Go ahead.
And that is all I have for the city manager's report.
One other thing, we had talked, you and I had talked along with the law director about the charter review things. There was one on tap for tonight. Do we want to address another 4 sections of that charter at the work session next week?
I mean, that's the only way we're gonna get through it and get it done is if we keep on it. So I don't have a problem with us doing that, and quite honestly, I think council should not have a problem with us doing that.
Not at all.
Then let's plan on.
And just keep working on it.
Addressing at least a few more sections of that.
And get something ready for November.
Yeah. Well, this one would be the spring ballot.
Yeah, the one that we're on here, on the
Yeah.
agenda tonight's in
Yeah.
the spring, yeah. But the next ones would have to be in November.
Right. Anything after, I think he said February 29th was our deadline for getting anything on the spring ballot.
Well, we might be able, we don't want to put, I think last time we only put 4 things on, so if we could come up with 3 more things to get on the ballot now in the spring and then do 4 more in or whatever we have left in November, we could probably knock it out this year. So if we still have time, and again, that depends on the city manager if he can get it together.
I'm trying.
I mean,
I
as
do
far
have-
as the ballot stuff.
Yeah,
that's a lot of
so
work.
Jake is helping a lot on this, or on the charter amendments, because those got to be clear, crystal clear cut on when they go with the resolutions and things like that. It's a matter of getting the language for these few sections you want to do. If we can get in here on Monday, I think the citizen award, the award project shouldn't take too long. Mr. Moore, who will, the planning director, will give the presentation for the comprehensive land use plan, which is, a lot of it's going to be informational, and if you already have a few ideas, we'll be able to take those back. So that shouldn't take too long, because we're already looking into consultants to draft and things like that. So then we can get into, those charter review things at the work session.
Do you want Jake here Monday?
I can see what his availability is.
It's what's council pleasure, they think.
If we're gonna be talking about charter language, probably wouldn't be a bad idea him being here, but we could also, the manager can send him notes and tell him what we're thinking, and then he can go off of that, if he's not available to make it Monday.
Is there anything that you're looking at in these charter amendments that are like a critical, the details of them are kind of, a gray area of a law? These that seem pretty simple, the ones that council was talking about, should be just pretty much change a few words and get it off. Okay.
We had talked about deleting that section that requires that letter of acceptance on your
Right.
ballot language. And I think that was one of the ones that I remember right off the top of my head.
I mean, without looking at the charter, when where we left off at, I mean, I wouldn't have a clue. I know the letter the mayor mentioned, we're the only ones in the county that does that, so that I think can go away.
So that sounds like a pretty simple
Yeah,
charter.
I mean, it's just
Strike.
deleting it. It's
Strike.
deleting it,
Yeah.
you know?
Now, if we go into this columbarium, are we gonna have to do anything with the cemetery language in the charter?
I'll have to look at because most of the cemetery stuff is governed by the regular ordinances. I don't know what is in the charter that I've ever used for
I don't think there's anything in there.
the cemetery.
I mean, all the pricing and stuff like that for that would be done by ordinance. Getting it would be done by ordinance, setting it would be done by the city crew, overseen by the service director. Oh, it's the same person that's sitting over there. But one thing, if I may, one thing that we need to kind of look at, when we hire a new city manager, I know when the assistant manager's position was made, do we want to do something to keep that if he wants to stay as the assistant city manager? Because I think the language was, and I'm going from memory, that a new manager can do away with that just by saying, we don't need an assistant manager.
According to the way the ordinance, the way the charter amendment reads, you can't do away with that position unless we have a consensus of council.
That, I'm not talking, yeah, that does not, I don't think that does not address the assistant city manager's position. That addresses the service director and I forget who the other one was, the fire chief. I'm looking at him, forgot who it was. Yeah, well, Colleen's already in there. She's already protected in the charter. So that was the only two things that amendment is going to protect, is that he cannot dismiss the directors without our approval.
Yeah, the assistant city manager is a at-will position, but it
Right.
doesn't remove the body, where the charter amendment will protect the body in the director of public service position.
Right. So, I mean, do we want to make that, I guess the question is, do we actually need, are we big enough now that we actually need an assistant city manager? Either presumably part-time, as it is now, or do we want to eliminate that when a new manager comes in. I mean, so I would like to have input from you on what are your thoughts on that?
So as you know, that position give me more, well, one, flexibility and more direction over one of the
Right.
departments instead of having the manager doing both. That's the big part, is managing the fire department, which is, is equally, if not bigger than one of my water, wastewater departments. So the assistant part, if I'm the director of public service, that's 75% of my job, 25% of it's the assistant city manager portion, doing this, adding all the contract language stuff, which has saved a lot. So, in time and being able to sign documents. So if it's there, to still be able to do that, when they come in, I mean, just make a direct to, we still want to keep him doing this type of work. I mean,
Okay.
you're not going to let the body go, but we still want him to do that, to
So
keep that work.
So we want to keep that position connected to the service director.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you can go ahead and function as you've been functioning for, I think, about a year now.
Yep.
In that capacity, longer in that capacity. Because I know, like Howie said, it's at will, and a new manager can come in and say, I don't need an assistant. And that means anything he wants to do, he has to ship off to the manager, which I'm sure he's gonna talk to the new manager anyways and say, hey, this is what I'm looking at. And most of the stuff we have to approve anyways that he wants to do.
Yep. But we're not big enough for a separate assistant
Right,
city manager.
okay.
Let's address that with Jake Monday evening.
Okay.
I think we can handle that at that time. Anything else, guys?
Mr. Mayor,
Go
I wanted
ahead.
to clarify a couple more things. On here, it says the bond for the new city pool. Are we moving forward on that for the spring levy?
I don't believe it's going to be able to make the spring levy.
Okay.
And one thing with that too is, we want to probably, it's just some thought that I've heard kicked around before, is the current city as it stands of residents, I'm not saying they wouldn't pass it, but it's probably not as favorable. But if we start getting new people coming into the other developments, and we say, hey, we are growing, we need to up that amenity.
Right, because we had talked about that, and then when I saw it on here, it was like, wait a minute, are we putting that on now?
I keep it to keep refreshed.
Okay.
Council's comments, because if anything sometimes doesn't come on here, at least right now in this time frame, it's, I'm forgetting about some stuff, so it keeps it in here, keeps it fresh. And, as things come up, we're able to move on it, or someone might hear something and we can add that to it. But it's really tough. That project is a bigger project than, just a couple of weeks
It's
to
a
a
very
month.
big project, right, and we don't want to slack on it. So the other comment was the comprehensive land use plan. When you were speaking about it, you said we were looking to get somebody to do that or work on that or something like that. We had already discussed that we thought as a body that we could put that together, and that we just would need a little assistance and not too much outside interference in our.
No, so you will need a consultant. The 7 here, unless I'm mistaken, no one is a planner. No one has the economic development background. They will come through, like Springfield and Clark County did theirs with one person. Every city, and in Springfield, I think, has 4 or 5 planners. That's what they have their degrees in to do, and they don't do it in-house. It can take a regular planner a couple years to put it together. So when I was talking to Brian today, he had got a hold of the consultant that did the city of Springfield's and Clark County's all in one. Them is both, how big that was? It was $100,000.
Right, it's a very costly thing. That's why we had discussed doing it ourselves. We
Yeah.
don't have to rewrite the Bible here. We can just go in and plug in the things we need to update it and improve it. For right now, we're not a huge city. We're not Springfield. We can do this ourselves. And I know Brian's very uncomfortable with the thought of doing it himself, but I spoke to somebody else who was not uncomfortable with that, so.
We have talked to quite a few professionals on it, and it is not easy as it appears. What we're gathering is the people will come in and go street by street, because they have to look at the code. So many things have been grandfathered in this town as all the ordinances come along. This goes and puts a whole new like you said, rewrite the Bible, it's going to have a whole new one. Because so many things in our code mix match. This section 1040 or 14, the property maintenance has conflicting stuff with the 600s, but they're talking about the same stuff. So it is not just U7, we can't do it. Brian is not able to do this. And then talking with a couple of the people who do this, that you might as well shut everything down. You got 3 years to put this thing together. That was, it's not about your size. And granted, it was 100,000 for that. We're looking to get some quotes, but sounds easy, but it is not when you have details that need to be precise. Even though we're a little town of 5,000, it still needs to be done right. The next time it has to be done, maybe in 10 years plus. I understand.
Who did our last
Yeah.
one? Where did that one come
It's
from?
not really been redone. Horton Hobbs, who's with the Center City, or not Center City,
Well, 'cause
Springfield Chamber.
the one we have now is like 12 years old or something.
It was done in the early 2000s. It just has a different date. It's never been redone.
Oh, it wasn't, they just.
It's never been rewritten and said, here, this is your new governing.
It's never been, it's never been rewritten, but we have made changes into it on, councils has made changes on that. Because I know there were some changes made when I came on council the first time, in 15, 16, I think it was, one of the two, that some changes was made, and a couple of changes I would like to see made in this going forward is that we put a 15 or 20-year moratorium on building any more houses, and I'd also like to see us get every ounce of land that we can annex to keep Huber Heights off of our doorstep. And if we let Huber Heights get up here, if they take Park Lane, I would much rather have Park Lane myself because there's a tax base there than to let Huber have it. And Huber's already on the doorstep of Park Lane. They're right up there to 40 now. So that's two things I think that needs to happen, and it needs to happen rather quickly. But, you know, I'm only one of 7, so but we need to start gathering every bit of land that we can get, and we should have already been doing it.
So I already have an update on the moratorium. I did ask Jake about the potential vape shop moratorium, because I heard that was being kicked around a little bit. As you know, Beaver Creek and a few others have done gas station moratoriums. Just takes an ordinance, so you're going to do a moratorium for 18 months, 12 months, whatever it is, in the meantime. That's your immediate stoppage if you don't want something to come in. And if you saw, I think it's at the city of Centerville or Kettering, the judge just sided with Sheets. I could have told you from day one, we knew that they would have, because the planning board followed their code. The code allowed that as a allowable use, but then the city council said no. Well, you can't go against your code. So then the judge said, well, you violated your code. Planning board told you what to do. So we knew kind of ahead of time that's what was going to happen. So then that's where the moratorium comes in, is he said, you know, as soon as we say, hey, we want to do a moratorium on a specific business, let me know, and we'll do one to at least get a moratorium set in. Because moratoriums aren't in your land use plan, but permanent or conditional uses for those are. So if you don't want more gas stations, you make gas stations in central business and general business conditional uses, not, I'm just drawing a blank on the planning side of it, the allowable use.
I think, excuse me, I think because of the 2 building units we have coming, plus we still have building that can occur over here at Twin Lakes or Twin Creeks. I think we have enough growth that's going to be happening that the city needs to adjust with this growth, because it's going to make a major impact, I think, on the city. So I would like not to see any more housing developments come into the city of whatever land that's available or that would be annexed into the city. I'd like to get some industrial up here if we could. Again, it would have to be kind of on the outside of the city limits now, but if we annex that land, I think we missed a good opportunity of trying to get some of the land when they was auctioning it off to Evans to get some of that, and that would have been a good place, I think, for light manufacturing or, God forbid, a truck terminal, but.
So we do have land for available light industrial. If someone was to come in, because we are out of developable land for residential places. If there is land right now that is light industrial, agricultural, that is the time that you say, hey, I got a company coming in and I want to do this, and it's not light industrial or agricultural use, then that is where the planning board and/or council can deny those because they take a zoning change to change it from ag, light industrial over to residential. That's an easy stoppage. But right now, we don't have any PUD or any other land zoned that I'm aware of ready to build on. So really, the developments they're done as far as the land that we have available for that.
But if we annex land and it's already zoned residential, we can change the zoning through the annexation, right?
You'll change it at annex or right after, yes. You pick what you want that to be.
So I guess my question to council is, what are your thoughts on looking at outside land to annex? I know when we was talking about Miami County, that annexation, I wasn't really for that particular project, but I think some of that land we could probably annex to keep Huber a little bit further away from us, because they're going to take Bethel Township. I'd say in the next 10, 15 years, if it's that long, they won't be a Bethel Township. It'll be City of Huber Heights. And I don't really want them up here on our corner.
Thinking about what you just said, there's a twofold problem here. Do we approach the fact of a moratorium on housing, or do we approach the standpoint of Huber Heights coming up here? If we do that, we need to be getting something done with Bethel Township, Clark County, and getting that started. I believe that Mr. Bridge had made some inroads down there, from what I understood. And I think that probably this is the important part of bringing an outside consultant in, that he's going to know exactly what to do and which is going to be our best avenue.
I still think annexation will help the city in the long run, because we're pretty well locked in between other cities in the creeks and stuff. I don't know how far north we could go, or if we've already gone as far north as we can go up 235. But going south, we could take everything from here to Route 40.
Well,
I know the previous manager said, oh, we don't want Park Lane. Park Lane's, and he always badmouthed Park Lane. Park Lane's a tax base. Yeah, it's going to increase our service department. It's going to increase that workload. We're going to have to probably buy some equipment, or maybe we could fall into taking their equipment when we annex them, I don't know. But I would much rather have Bethel Township in the city than I would for Bethel Township to be part of Huber Heights.
I think
It's just a thought, something to think about and something to keep in mind for when we do have somebody come in on the CIP and if council so decides, to tell him that's what we want. And as far as the moratorium, maybe I used the wrong word on housing, the manager said we could do that with an ordinance. So
Yeah,
that's the easy fix.
Yeah, you can do moratoriums for just about, I wouldn't say anything, but you do an ordinance for a short term. Like I said, on housing, we're we don't have any other already allowable use for that, so there's no reason for that one.
Right.
But what I can do is look up at some of the annexation rules, because if you got someone selling land, the person wants to come in the city. If you're looking to just take John and Jane Doe, who have a 100-acre farm, and you say, I want to go annex, they're usually going to decline to annex. Forced annexation's got to have some, there's reasons that if you're going to do forced, and typically just going to annex is not one of them. But I'm going to find out some of the annexation rules, because I know there's certain things that you just can't go take someone for no reason at all.
I would, and you said a word there that I wouldn't even agree with if it came up. When I say annexation, I don't mean taking people's property. I am not for that.
No, right, just bringing it in the
But
city.
if
Under
we
our
could
umbrella.
convince them to come into the city, you know, we have a little, where am I at here? Out back here. We have a little community out here behind the 571, or whatever they call themselves now. That's something else that we could look at, and that's easy, that's right next door to us. I don't know if those people actually want to come into the city, because what benefit is there? Yeah, no.
I've already approached them about a little less than 10 years ago,
Yeah,
because there was water. They wanted to get water, and I sent a letter out to each and every homeowner out there. Would you like water? Would you like sewer? With that comes probably annexing in, and it was,
crickets.
yeah, it was, I think, 2 or 3 people out of the whole Gary Lane, Stevens Circle that even thought about talking to me.
Go ahead, Mr. Bond.
So, our big fear here is Huber Heights annexing property right up to us. But we're saying that we may not be able to annex property if people don't want to be annexed. So how is it Huber would be able to annex if people don't want to?
They're annexing,
Property owner petition you
Yeah.
for annexation.
But
so people have to petition you to annex, or someone, you know, that they're all being developed. All the land that they're doing on 40, almost at 201, 202.
Right.
It's someone like a developer coming in, offering money. I want to come in the city because I need those utilities.
Sure.
But yeah, they're just not annexing a farm ground without any kind of development.
Because the other thing about it is, at some point in time, no matter where we annex, they'll be right next to us.
right.
It's just, how close do we want them to the downtown, I guess, is what it ends up being.
Because somebody told me, he said, you know, Huber Heights is going to take New Carlisle. I said, well, it's impossible to annex the city. So they could try, but I don't think that any court in the world would let them take over another city. You know, I mean, I guess they could do it by force and we could have a war or something, but we don't do that in this country.
I just don't see, aside from development, I don't see anybody raising their hand saying, hey, please annex
Right.
me.
I think if we could ask, you know, especially some of the large landowners, that, you know, if they decide to sell, if they could let us annex them before they sold, or something like that, or request us to be annexed in. It was like this thing here in Miami County. That developer, that was part of the contract. I have to be annexed.
Right.
And so he was behind it, but because of what he wanted to do and the layouts and stuff, council declined to entertain that. And I'm not a big fan, you know, I said before, I'm not a big fan of going across county lines, but Huber Heights is eating up everything, and I don't know what their game plan is or why they're doing it. Just money, yeah, more money, yeah. More control, bigger, more power, I guess. But we need land for a pool. We need land, you know, at some point for a new fire station. We need land at some point, hopefully when they build a new fire station and they incorporate the city offices, fire department, police department, all in one big complex, like almost every city around us has done. And that takes a lot of money, but it also takes rooftops. Takes, you know, tax dollars to do that. And at the size that we are right now, we do not have the tax base to do that. Hopefully, the new developments will help with that. But even at that, the complex I'm talking about is, the closest it is, I would say it's at least 10 to 15 years down the road. But a new fire station is probably within 10 years. And we got to have someplace to put it. Am I correct, Chief? So I'll shut up now. I've dominated a little bit, so.
I'm good with the city manager's report.
All right.
Really.
Uh,
notes?
Since we don't have any audience, I guess we can skip the comments. So I guess we'll go to the resolutions, Chris.
Alrighty. So
Ordinances.
ordinances, we have 3 introduction and 3 action. Ordinance 2024-76, introduction 121624, public hearing and action tonight. An ordinance amending sections 881.02 and 881.03 of the codified ordinances of the city of New Carlisle, Ohio, for the continuation of the city's existing 1/2 of 1% municipal income tax during the period beginning July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2030, for the purpose of paying police expenses.
So moved. Second?
Motion and a second. Any comment?
Just need to table this.
You want to table this?
So motion to table.
Wait a minute, hold on. We have a motion and a second now, so
You've got to
unless
table.
we withdraw.
Yeah.
This is on the, this is not the contract. you was
Correct, this
talking
is for the levy ordinance.
about. This is for the 1.5%. Is that not ready to go yet?
The resolution is over to the, Board of Elections. The vote will take place. If the vote passes, then this ordinance will then come up for action in front of council. Right now, it's already got its introduction. Then this ordinance will go for action after the voters, if the voters approve the police levy, you will see this back in front of you for approval.
Okay, okay. Thanks for that explanation. I'll withdraw my second,
Thank you.
I withdraw.
and I move the table.
Did you second to table? Is that what you said? He moved to table.
And then,
Yeah, I move the table.
Second. How about
Okay.
that? Good things along here. Thank you.
Councilman Shammy?
yes.
Councilwoman Wright?
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Atkinson? Yes. Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grow?
Yes.
And Councilman Bond?
Yes.
Ordinance 2025-01E, introduction tonight, public hearing and action tonight. An ordinance authorizing a contract with the Clark County Sheriff's Office for fire and EMS dispatching services and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
And an explanation of this ordinance is the Clark County Sheriff's Office runs the fire and EMS dispatching. That's who we currently use for the city of New Carlisle's fire division dispatching. The cost of dispatching services increased from 2024 in the amount of $2,398 was the increase to 2025, which will go to a total of $35,948. The city will make 2 payments, which is half of it each time for the year. And how they come up with those numbers is based on the rate of $22 times our runs. So obviously, the more runs that we get, next year's contract, that could up it a little bit more, but that's the current numbers.
Any comment? Go ahead.
Kathy? Yeah, I was curious. Do we bill for that? Is there an additional cost when the fire department bills or EMS bills? Is there a $22 charge for the call center?
No, I think most of ours come in when we charge actually for our services. We don't bill for the specific. The $22 is their range that they use. We don't add it as a separate line item on our billing. Our billing may be $5,000, but $22 is not of that.
We bill only for medic runs, and that's only if we do a transport. And then we also, our citizens are soft-billed. We collect whatever the insurance or Medicare, Medicaid pays us, or that person's insurance. Anything above that is written off, because if they're a citizen of the city.
Right. So could we bill for that possibly, and if the insurance will pay for it, great, and if they don't, then that's fine too.
Well, you're sitting here telling your citizens you're soft billing them, and then you're turning around and billing them.
But if the insurance is paying, okay.
Because you also, like fire runs, we don't charge for fire runs.
Don't bill at all for fire runs?
We do not bill anything for fire runs, or say a MVA, auto accident, we don't bill anything unless we transport a patient from it.
I thought they actually charged on insurance too. I thought they charged to insurance too.
Who?
Like an ambulance coming to a crash scene,
Only if you transport the patient.
only if you transport. Okay. All right,
That's a common practice all around.
okay.
How many runs did we have last year, Chief?
Did they use that for the calculation?
I don't think so. Last year, for 2023, we had 50.
24.
24, we had, I can give you the exact count. $1,642.
That's close, 1634.
And that was, last 2023, we had 1,515.
Okay. So what they're charging us is based off of last year's total runs? Okay. All right.
Any other comment?
Okay, Councilwoman Wright,
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston,
Yes.
Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Grow,
Yes.
Councilman Bond,
Yes.
Councilman Sheehan. 7-0.
Now, before you move on, Chris, I would like to see ordinance 2025 2E tabled. Reason for that, I have a couple of questions in regards to the contract. Number one is dealing with the fact that if we have a deputy off for a maximum of 10 days, we get no replacement. That's number one. Number two, I want to see something written in there that the sheriff's department will enforce our local ordinances. I have been told by the city manager, previous city manager, that sometimes the deputies do enforce and sometimes they don't. I would like to see that written in. So I will make a motion to table that ordinance.
Second.
So you want to make a motion to table the ordinance for the changes or discussion on the deputies off 10 days and no replacement in the sheriff's office to enforce the city ordinances?
Right.
Okay. Councilwoman Wright?
No.
Councilman Lindsay?
No.
Vice Mayor Eggleston?
Yes.
Mayor Cook?
Yes.
Councilwoman Grow?
No.
Councilman Bond?
Yes.
Councilman Shammy?
No.
So failed 3-4. So failed 3-4 to table it, so we go ahead and
It's,
vote on
it's
it,
still,
or-
it's still up for, need a motion to accept the ordinance.
Wait a minute, you say it failed?
You had 3 yeses and you had 4 nos to table it.
The table, it was 4-3.
No, it was,
Did you vote yes or no,
I
Bill?
vote no.
Oh, okay, that's my fault. Okay.
Move to accept ordinance 2025-01E,
02.
02, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Would you like me to give a brief explanation on a few of the things? So there is a little bit of change in this one compared to the last one, where the last contract said that there was 5 or 6. Well, in the last contract, 5 or 6 was okay, but in the body for all of the deputies' salaries and benefits, it was only for 5 deputies. There was not the availability to have 6 deputies. So in this contract, it is for straight 5. There are 5 coverages for all the documentation you need for them. If at the point, let's say, beforehand, after the levy, whatever. It's council's decision to move to 6. They're already ready to amend. They'll do an amendment, add the 6th deputy. He'll have that 1 deputy to it. So this is not just saying, it is for 5, but they understand that we are looking at a 6th. So that can be an amendment done. Everything else for the contract is still the same, other than the total cost of the contract, which is 5 deputies at full family medical. The highest that it could potentially be paid would be $771,415.56.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Last year, when we were discussing this, it was that we asked for the 6th. We could not get it because they would need a supervisor in our town. So what is to make me feel comfortable in knowing we can get another deputy when we want one? Because we didn't last year when we tried to get one.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
Okay.
I have the question already
What I
out.
was told.
Well, I already have the question out there because there was going to be a change of, it's not a blame on a change of guard coming, but don't know where the information come from. But I do have the question out there because I did present that to the attorney at that time, and he was passing that on to the new staff of would there need to be a sergeant out here. And I believe that there was a technically yes, but it doesn't, they don't typically do that. I don't know if that was in the union agreement, because there's a lot of things in the sheriff's union agreement that has to be followed, and most of these contracts follow what the union agreement has in it. So I do have that question in on, is it enforceable or not enforceable to have that sergeant out here?
Can you report back to us when you find
Oh,
out? please?
absolutely, once I get
Thank you.
that. Well, there's going to be a meeting here soon.
Right.
With Sheriff Clark, with council, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions answered on top of mine.
Okay, good.
Go ahead, Bill.
When this contract goes back to them, I know any contract can be amended pretty much at any time if both parties agrees to it. But to the mayor's questions and concerns on the 10 days without a deputy, as long as I've been on council, it's always been like that. I think that's a little long. I mean, if they could possibly cut that down to 5. And again, I had some discussion with the mayor, and I thought it is in their contract, their union contract, because like you said, these other outside contracts dictate by the union contract. And I have to get your other comment or concern, Mr. Mayor.
Well, with the person being off 10 days, we are not providing them 24/7. And the
Right.
other comment was in regards to enforcing the local ordinance.
Right, and see if we can get that done too. That should just be a conversation. That would be basically an order from command or from the sheriff down to the troops in town to enforce or write all traffic or tickets on our ordinances. And if we don't have one, well then, I guess it goes to the state ordinance. you know?
I'm sorry, so
Go ahead.
this is to enforce New Carlisle Code, not ORC, not a discretion issue.
Right. They don't have the discretion to enforce our codes.
Right, but not to whether give them the speeding ticket or not give them the
Right.
speeding ticket. It's, if you give a speeding ticket, it's New Carlisle Code,
Right,
not safe. Okay.
exactly. Yes,
Understood.
Yes.
Well, the other thing, the Green River ordinance is not being enforced.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Green River ordinance, the
What's-
peddlers, that
No.
ordinance is not being enforced.
Are people actually calling?
No, this is door to door.
I know, are people calling and tattling on them?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give them a hard time.
I send them away, yes, but I do check and,
I know there's certain ones allowed to do it. according to the peddler's permit, there's like about 2 or 3 different job titles that are allowed to do it, but I don't know if they're the ones that are coming up or not.
Gas and electric are not covered under that.
Correct, they can come up there and do as a, enforce city codes and stuff.
And they have all kinds of reasons why they can do it. Oh, my supervisor has that. Well, no, you have to have it. So if maybe through conversation, those two concerns can be addressed. And if they want to amend the contract, to include those in the contract, that's only a suggestion, but, you know, yeah, I think we need to get this passed because we need police protection in the city to protect our citizens.
All we have to do is extend the present contract.
Well, they have to agree to that, though, I think. And since we have a new boss in town, new sheriff in town, so to speak, I'd rather not take that chance.
What if they don't agree to your amendments?
Well, then we go with, I didn't say they're not amendments, they're requests.
Okay, request.
It's a conversation that
If they don't go
that
with
the,
your comment,
that the city manager can have with whoever he needs to have it with to see if that would be something, it can be done outside of the contract. All the sheriff has to do is say, we're doing this, and that's it. Then it comes down through the command, the guys here in the town, they have to do it. If they find out they're not doing it, we have a recourse by going back through the command.
It's better if it's documented somewhere.
I agree.
It-
I agree.
If it's not documented, it never happened. So those types of things need to be.
I agree. So that's why I said do it as a request, and then if they agree to it, ask them, well, can we amend the contract to state that?
Yep.
And then we can do it on our end and send it to them, all they gotta do is sign it.
I'll have a preliminary conversation with the sheriff, so that way when the sheriff does have the meeting with council, hopefully the answers are, or if he has to investigate something, he'll have answers instead of here, ask questions, and I gotta get back to you. So I will try to get ahead of it.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Councilwoman Wright.
Yes, yes.
So this is the motion to
Yes.
accept it as it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston.
Yes.
Mayor Cook.
No.
Councilwoman Grove.
Yes.
Councilman Bond.
Yes.
Councilman Sheehan.
Yes.
Accepted 6-1. Ordinance 2025-03, introduction tonight, public hearing and action on 1/21/25. An ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the city of New Carlisle proposed amendments to Article 6 of the city charter.
So moved.
It's
This is just a,
introduction.
yeah.
Oh, it's a, okay, sorry. My apologies. I was even reading it.
Any other comments on that one? No. Other business, city offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th, 2025 for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And any other open discussion of city-related business?
I think we've got, go ahead, Kathy.
I do have something. This is something I've been kicking around. It's a, I'll send one around to you. I think there's enough for most of you. It might sound confusing, but I didn't mean for it to be. It's just a monthly tour and a meeting with the different groups that we govern, so to speak. So like, one month we will go to the firehouse and let somebody there give us a tour of the building during their lunchtime, bring a sandwich so they can eat their lunch, talk to them, what's going good, what's not, you know, just kind of a get to know you sort of thing at each of the departments. So it'd be at the, you know, the wastewater plant, the water plant, you know, talk to the planning board guy, just different things. I just really think that it would be good for a lot of council to sit down and talk to people that we work over or work with or whatever. Some of these people I've never met, some of these places I've never been, and the tours are available. I've been told that. I have gone through the city building, and I found that very fascinating, and I think others would benefit by that too. And I just think that would be a morale builder to bring a lunch and sit and just talk, you know, person to person with people. It's just the way I like to function, and I think others might benefit from it too. I figured if we capped it at $10 a person on the lunch, the council person who's going would bring the lunch. They could pick from a group of providers right here in town, so they're making that little bit of money. You know, I don't know, the wastewater plant has like 4 people or something like that, so $40 plus ourselves or whoever goes. And we can't have over 3, I imagine, or we could, if council people go. I don't know, I know many have work they have to do, so they might not be able to attend. It's just an idea. It's an idea I've been kicking around, and I thought it might be good for us, for them, for everybody.
Any comment?
And we can find out how their bosses treat them.
Or their boss can be there. That's
Sometimes good, sometimes not.
That's true.
That's typical boss.
That's the answer I expect.
We'll just take our notepad with us.
Yeah, catch me on a
That's the
good
answer I
day.
expect, because it depends on the day and what happens during the day.
I think this is a great idea. Other cities are doing this. We had, like, I had spoken to other members of council, mayors and such, at that thing I went to in Columbus, that conference, and they're doing this with their admin and everything for rapport and to build teams and relationships within the community. And they said that a lot of really good things has come from it. They said that their communication has opened up greatly at their meetings and such, and that they've just had a really great response. So I think this is a great idea. I personally wouldn't be able to do Wednesdays, I'm teaching, but I could probably do
Well, we could
Tuesdays.
do whatever day works best for people, you
Yeah.
know. I just was kind of wanting a consistent day every month,
Right.
so people could maybe plan their schedules accordingly. I think it'd be really great for everybody.
Just a second, Bill, I got one question.
Sure.
Okay, where's this money coming from? Are we all chipping in $10 for?
No, it would come from our council budget. We do have extras for classes and stuff. And I've been to super classes and I've been to bad classes. And I've spent more of council's money on the bad classes I've been to than on good classes. So instead of wasting that money, I would much prefer to see that money used on our employees and building morale and doing something that actually benefits our town. The last conference I went to, I was most disappointed in, and it was pricey. It was very pricey, and it was like a scalp job in many ways, and that is not what I'm sitting here for. I want to learn stuff, I want to talk to people, and my idea was, instead of me wasting the money on things like that, let me go and talk to the people on wastewater. I've never toured that building. I think it would be good for them to show me, you know, most people are proud of their jobs, and they talk well about their jobs, and I think that would be good for them, good for me, good for whoever else was able to come.
Mr. Kitco, your thoughts on letting people off, on assuming that, let's say we get out
Oh,
of a
yeah.
wastewater plant. You're gonna have somebody do the tour, which probably, let's say it takes an hour, then you're gonna excuse that person for an hour to go to lunch with us. Is this going to end up being a problem with any union function? Or is this gonna be a problem in your supervision capacity?
I don't think there's a problem if it's, so I have three departments. The street, city garage, cemetery, they're all one public works. So we would probably do them all at once, because there's only one person in cemetery, one in the city garage. So I would probably combine them into one. And if you're saying, you know, let's say they get half-hour lunches.
Okay.
And, you know, if we're doing a tour, the tour is part of our workday. That's not an issue. If you want to do a one-time where we schedule a public meeting from noon to 1, because the only way you can get all 7 at
Right.
one meeting. So we go wastewater on this date, it's an advertised public meeting.
That's what I was thinking,
The
yeah.
problem is, when we schedule tours, we're very critical, especially with water treatment, on having public meetings and public just, you know, going through our plant, not saying unsupervised, but we try not to open up, all of a sudden we get 30 people coming through the plant, and we just we don't have the capacity to handle that. Do I see that happening? No. But I think if we were to do one tour through each of the, like, major parts of it, where all the council can do it all at once, or we do it, like I said, in 12 months, there's gonna be, well, it's still no more than 3 people. So at some point, I gotta have 3 different times without advertising to do this. So I'm trying to think of the easiest way to get a tour out, get people to be met, and do what you want to do with this, but not do it like 3 different times, I guess.
If I may. I have toured the wastewater plant, and her husband was our guide. You would love him as a guide.
I bet.
No. And I've done the wastewater, or the water plant. And I think we just talked to whoever it was, probably you, to set it up. And we just, myself and another councilman, there was just the 2 of us, we went and we did it. I think the city manager went with us to the wastewater plant at that time. But I think at that time it was done when the council had the time to go do it. I think, cause I don't remember if it was during the week or if it was a weekend that we did it. It was a while ago.
It was during the week. I was with you guys on
Okay.
on the wastewater one. We did 2, 2, and 3.
Okay. So, I mean, that would be something that we could do, because all 7 of us can't be together outside of a public meeting.
Unless we,
And I really don't want to invite the
Announce it,
public to go
right.
through these things.
yeah.
You know, because like you said, you don't need the public in there, especially at the wastewater, or at the water plant, milling around, and you only got 2 sets of eyes to watch it, 30 people, you know, anything could happen. So I would, like we did it before, I think that would be more acceptable. And maybe not everybody on council wants to go, you know. We have some new equipment over at the wastewater department I have not seen, although I voted to get it, but I haven't been over to see it. But I've seen the old stuff, so maybe I will take the tour again and see what the new stuff's doing, and see what complaints the new guy that's doing whatever Ron used to do is complaining about, or, you know, or how he demonstrates, you know, so.
Mr. Bond?
I like the idea, I like the heart behind it, what you're trying to do. Can we put a little more thought into
Oh,
this before
sure.
we
Yeah, that's
agree
fine.
on this? Because I'm wondering, maybe there would be an opportunity to, I'm just thinking, end of the year, you had, and this may not fit your idea exactly, but, you know, the day that they do the Christmas party, where basically stuff shuts down or whatever, maybe that's a day where it's kind of a big day, and you tour all the places all in one day. And you spend an hour and you travel and tunk, 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 and it gives the employees a chance to go see the other departments too. And you can advertise that. There's more eyes than if somebody from public, I'm just spitballing here, so, but I like the idea. Maybe we can kind of work with this a little bit.
That's
and move
fine,
forward.
sure.
And-
That'd be fine.
Let's kind of think this thing over. Maybe we can touch on this Monday at the work session. And that way we can possibly redefine this thing. You know, my thought, there are a lot of areas there that I don't think you're going to stop for lunch. And I'm going to, I guess if we're to jump on the fire chief here, that maybe after these tours, whatever they shall be, 1, 3, 4, whatever you decide to do, would be to come back to the firehouse, because we could use possibly his meeting room. It'd be a little bit more comfortable, I think, with heat and a little bit more ambience to eat in.
I think it's important we see their ambience, though, you know, I mean, like at the what is the wastewater plant, they say there's no toilet, there's not a toilet down there, and it's like,
There
Well,
is
that's
at the
the water-
wastewater, it's
that's the
water.
water.
is it water? Okay,
Or the
but
nothing.
one of them
It's over at the
doesn't.
garage.
So it's like, I think that's something we need to know and keep up front in our mind, because that's an important luxury for us to have.
All right, let's think on this thing
Okay.
and come up with something, next Monday night.
All right.
What else have we got?
I got one more thing. In the school board just passed whatever they call it at the school board to allow firearms in the district now that the teachers can carry. And they have their whatever protocols they need that other districts throughout the state and the country are doing. Since the schools are finally getting on board with their security, I would like to see that the people who carry in this city are allowed to carry in our meeting if they so want, or any place that is not restricted by the ORC. The city building, I don't see why you can't carry in the city building, because we spent so much money on bulletproof glass to protect the people. And you can't even, I guess there is a little slot there to pass stuff back and forth. And that camera, if I'm not mistaken, is turned on, and so is the audio at the city window.
The vestibule, yes.
Yes. So I would like to see us have the manager have the director to put together an ordinance so that can become reality in '25, to where if a council member wants to carry in this meeting, they can, or if anybody else wants to carry in this meeting, they can. And I've heard all the arguments against it. If somebody's going to come in here and want to do us harm, well, we have a deputy. Oh, that's great, we have a deputy. If I'm going to do it harm, if I, as a bad guy, going to come in here and do harm, you don't think I'm going to case this place, find out where that deputy's sitting every meeting when I come in here for 2, 3, 4, 5 months? And who do you think is going to be the first one shot? And who's going to take a headshot would be the deputy. Now we got a firearm that's out here that somebody can get a hold of. Hopefully the chief or the manager, because both of them knows how to shoot. I'm not saying I would hate to see that happen, but if that did happen, I think more than one gun in the building that is capable with a firearm is better than having one gun in the building and somebody comes in here to do us harm. I don't think that will ever happen, but I think it's a right. It's in the Constitution, and I don't think we should be restricting people's rights as far as the Constitution goes. It's all about freedom. Now, I understand fire department's off limits. I understand the court and the sheriff's office is off limits. Those are statutorily off limits. We can't do nothing about that. We can't open this building up. We can't open up the 101 building when the court is not in session. And we can't open up the old city building, or the current city building, whatever it's called. So thoughts on that?
Question. Other than you and I, how many other people?
Well,
have
I'm not going to ask how many people. I know who carries, and I apologize if you don't, but
That wasn't the question. I want to know how many of us have a CCW permit.
probably most everybody in this room, but maybe one or two.
I think you and I are the only two here.
Have a CCW.
No,
you
we're
don't
not.
have one.
We're not?
No,
Not
we're
now, it's an
not.
open carry state.
Chief's got one.
No,
I'm just going to name them.
You do not have to have a CCW permitted.
No, you don't. You don't need one. It's constitutional carry. So, and constitutional carry means you can cover it up too. But I'm not going to say who else that has a license to carry. If they want to divulge that information, that's up to them. I know who they are because I kind of look for weapons when we're out in public, and I've seen them before, you know. I know the deputy has one, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I've got off-duty carry.
Forgot that at home, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my comments on that. If council is in agreement with that, I'll turn it into a motion, make it a second, and have Howie talk to the city law director and get us an ordinance coming to us.
You got a second on that?
Second.
Yeah. Kristen.
So you want a motion for Howie to talk to the city director to create an ordinance,
Yeah, city law director.
city law director to create an ordinance to allow, how do you?
Carry,
Carrying,
Open carry.
Open
doesn't matter.
carry.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
so just to,
They can carry, let's remove the word carry, remove the no gun sign on the doors.
okay.
That'll take care of it right there. And I don't think we really need an ordinance to do that. I think the city manager, at our direction, can just have those signs removed off of this building, off of the, I would say 101 building, but it would have to be put back up in the court sensation because statutorily, and if you carry and don't know the law and you walk into a court or a police station, well, you deserve whatever they do to you. If they see it, you could get shot, and the other building. But if we can do it by an ordinance, that would be fantastic.
So what I'll do is, well, before you guys move on, just to let you know, I'll look into, get with Jake. Obviously, Jake will call the insurance company. Because a regular person coming in is different than a city employee carrying while on duty. So, we'll look into that. Council while they're in session, you know, all that stuff. So we'll investigate all avenues, because the last thing you want outside of that is a trap,
Right.
so.
So do you want to have the motion to have the city manager and law director to investigate an ordinance or to create an ordinance?
It's gotta be a minimum investigate, and then,
To minimum investigate and create an ordinance? And then do you just want it to say to remove the no gun signs from the city building doors?
To investigate and bring back an
Yeah.
opinion on Monday.
And I don't even think we need an ordinance to do that. We can just ask the manager to look into that for us.
yeah, and I don't know that you'll probably get all that information back with Jake being here Monday.
Well,
Whatever.
no, not, I don't expect it Monday.
Yeah.
Because this isn't
Do it
Monday.
Following council.
If it was Monday to Monday, then yeah, but we're only,
Well, Jake's good, so he could probably get it
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we're only one work day out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll call him tomorrow and tell him I expect it Monday when he comes in. I know what he'll tell me, but I won't repeat it in there.
Yeah, we'll do our best to make it expedient and very clear.
Just do it tonight during the game.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Okay, so one more time. So motion to have the city manager and law director to investigate an ordinance to remove the no gun signs from the city building doors.
That'll work.
Okay.
Do we need a motion?
What's that?
Do we really need a motion? We're just asking him to do something, aren't we?
But we're gonna do it as a motion, that way they can make the ordinance. and
Okay.
do it.
Okay, Councilwoman Wright.
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston.
Absolutely not.
Mayor Cook.
No.
Councilwoman Grow.
But I don't,
Yes.
I'd have to talk.
Councilman Bond.
Yes.
And Councilman Shammy.
Yes.
Okay, so that passed 5-2.
Anything else?
I believe the vice mayor had a motion she wanted to place. Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn.
All right, Councilwoman Wright.
Yes.
Councilman Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eggleston.
Yes.
Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grow.
Yes.
Councilman Bond.
Yes.
Councilman Shammy.
Yes.